the external critic of Scientology is not shuddered into silence by Scientology identification, investigation, and harassment, then OSA will try litigation as a weapon of intimidation. Scientology copyrighted policy and practice also involves the use of litigation to harass and destroy people rather than to win. The purpose of the lawsuit, wrote L. Ron Hubbard, is to harass and discourage rather than to win. He also wrote that there is no other animal in the world like a Scientology lawsuit. In the Allard case, the court opined that Scientology believed it had carte blanche to violate the rights of others, frame critics in order to destroy them, burglarize public and private offices, and steal documents outlining the strategy of individuals and organizations that the church had sued. These suits, and I'm quoting, were filed by the church for the sole purpose of financially bankrupting its critics and in order to create an atmosphere of fear so that critics would shy away from First Amendment rights secured them by the Constitution. Anyone who did not agree with Scientology was considered an enemy against whom the so-called fair game doctrine could be invoked. The Allard court further held that Hubbard had defined truth is what is true for you, and illegal is what is contrary to Scientology, and not pursuant to Scientology's approved program. They could commit crimes so long as it was in the interests of Scientology. The Scientology enterprise also pollutes and corrupts the legal process with additional copyrighted and written policies and practices. These include TRL, training routine lying, hatting the witness, an addendum to hatting the witness, how to tell an acceptable truth, and the religion policy letter, which provides that what is true for you is what you have observed for yourself. Because Scientology is a totalitarian, closed, compartmentalized organization where Scientology staff operate in discrete sectors, they believe they can claim that anything they have not personally observed is untrue. Scientology further corrupts the legal process by punishing Scientologists who testify against another Scientologist or the interests of Scientology. The impact of punishing a Scientologist as a suppressive person for adverse testimony in court is to coerce the use of perjury in litigation and to commit repeated frauds upon the court. Then there is black Dianetics in litigation. Black Dianetics is also known in Scientology as reverse processing. Hubbard wrote that black Dianetics can be used to drive a person into any kind of insanity that is wanted. Scientology lawyers do not hesitate to use this in court proceedings, and only an appropriately trained Scientologist can see it happening. I saw it being used in the Fatnet case against Robert Vaughan Young. Scientology lawyers used reverse processing to re-stimulate Mr. Young's experience of a Scientology gang-bang security check he had endured in 1987. Mr. Young was reduced to tears and begged me to interrupt the subtle abuse. When I did, to protect the witness from further abuse, I was sanctioned by the court. Scientology has used all these suppressive person handling policies to deal with the anonymous movement and its criticism of the Scientology enterprise. In the United States, there have been too many examples to even mention in this paper. I have already discussed the mammoth expenditure of tax-exempt monies to try and utterly destroy the messages and lives of many thousands of young Americans for exercising their First Amendment rights to speak out against Scientology crime, abuse, civil rights violations, and human rights violations. Scientology alleged in public statements, police complaints, and the so-called anti-anonymous DVD that the participants in the anonymous movement had engaged in the world's biggest terrorist attack upon a religion, threatened to detonate nuclear bombs in Scientology facilities, mailed suspected anthrax packages to 24 Scientology facilities, and fired bullets into Scientology properties. The FBI and the LAPD investigated these serious allegations, and no action was taken. Scientology used the anti-anonymous DVD in Clearwater, Florida, in an unsuccessful request for a court injunction to stop the anonymous movement from protesting Scientology crime and abuse. The judge commented there was not a shred of evidence to support the allegations of Scientology allegations of potential violence against Scientology